FBI agents are staring at the fingerprints of the corpse in front of them, because there's no one left who can say who this man is. A 40-kilogram skeleton lies on the table, hair matted like a wild animal, nails grown 10 centimeters long, broken syringe needles embedded in his arms. 30 years ago, this man was the richest, most desired man on earth. Hollywood's most beautiful women fought over him. He collected private jets, broke world records, and had billions. But now the body in the morgue is so unrecognizable that even the FBI isn't sure. The man who once conquered the skies and then became a prisoner of his own mind, Howard Hughes. Howard Hughes was born in Texas in 1905 into a family swimming in oil money. His father had invented a revolutionary drill bit that brought in millions, but his mother had an obsession: germs. She checked her son's feet every day, inspected his teeth one by one, and never let him play with other children because they were carriers. Young Howard grew up in a sterile bubble, isolated but brilliant. At 11, he built a radio. At 12, a motorized bicycle. His genius was obvious, but no one knew this brilliance would demand a terrible price. In 1924, first his mother, then his father, died in quick succession. At 18, Howard inherited millions and a major company. His first move was to buy out every relative's shares, drop out of college, and pursue one obsession: making films. In 1927, he began shooting Hell's Angels, a film meant to capture the sky-bound legends of World War I. But Hughes didn't want model planes. He wanted real aerial combat. He bought 87 real warplanes. 3 pilots died during filming, and Hughes himself crashed and was injured. The movie cost $3.8 million, the most expensive film ever made at the time. Then, Hollywood switched to sound. Hughes made an even crazier decision. He would reshoot everything as a sound film. And he did. The movie exploded in popularity, and Hughes became Hollywood's uncontested king. But his true passion was the sky. In 1935, he broke the airspeed record, 352 miles per hour. In 1937, the transcontinental record. In 1938, he circled the globe in just 3 days and 19 hours. New York held parades for him. He had become a national hero, handsome, rich, fearless. And then there were the women. Hollywood's most desired actresses lined up for him: Katharine Hepburn, Ava Gardner, Bette Davis, Lana Turner. Bette Davis later described nights spent on rose-petal-covered beds. Hepburn spoke of their passionate affairs. But Hughes didn't just love, he possessed. He hired spies to follow his girlfriend's every move. When 16-year-old Elizabeth Taylor was sunbathing by a pool, Hughes rained diamonds from a helicopter and proposed. When she refused, he flew into a rage. When Ava Gardner tried to leave him, Hughes snapped. He beat her with a chair. He forced young starlets into personal contracts, locked them in apartments, and monitored them constantly. When the contract ended, so did their careers. He wanted total control, every movement, every breath, but he wouldn't be able to control what was coming. July 7th, 1946. He was testing the experimental XF-11 reconnaissance aircraft over Los Angeles. Suddenly, there was an oil leak. The propellers reversed. The plane began to fall. Hughes tried to make an emergency landing on a golf course, but missed, crashing into a Beverly Hills neighborhood. 3 houses were destroyed. As flames shot into the sky, a Marine sergeant pulled Hughes from the wreckage in the final seconds. His injuries were catastrophic. His chest was crushed, a lung collapsed, ribs shattered, his torso covered in third-degree burns. Lying in bed in unbearable pain, Hughes studied the design of the hospital bed. He summoned his engineers and created a prototype for what would become the modern electrically powered hospital bed. But there was a darker solution for his pain: morphine. Doctors gave it to him to ease his agony, and Hughes became dependent. For the next 30 years, morning and night, he injected codeine. In 1947, he revealed his greatest creation, the H-4 Hercules, better known as the Spruce Goose. 8 engines, wings longer than a football field, and entirely made of wood due to wartime metal shortages. Hughes wanted a giant cargo plane capable of carrying 750 soldiers across the Atlantic. But the war was over, and Congress mocked the project as a flying lumber yard that will never leave the water. On November 2nd, 1947, Hughes stood at Long Beach Harbor. Thousands watched. The plan was simple: water taxiing and engine tests. Inside were journalists, engineers, and co-pilot Dave Grant. On the third taxi run, Hughes suddenly pushed the throttles forward. The massive wooden giant rose from the water, flying 70 feet above Long Beach Harbor for 26 seconds and covering nearly a kilometer. The crowd went wild. Hughes had silenced his critics. The plane could fly. But the Spruce Goose would never fly again. Still, Hughes spent $1 million a year to keep it perfectly preserved in a climate-controlled hangar. In his mind, it was his masterpiece. But after the crash, he began to change. His mother's legacy resurfaced. His germ obsession returned, strengthened by chronic pain. He washed his hands until they bled. He gave bizarre orders to his staff. Door handles had to be turned using 6 tissues. Spoon handles had to be wrapped in cloth. Dust on people's clothes disturbed him. If anyone near him got sick, he burned his own garments. In 1950, Hughes vanished from public life. He locked himself inside a dark screening room for 4 months. He never stepped outside. He ate only chocolate and chicken, drank only milk. He stacked tissue boxes endlessly, rearranging them constantly. He sat in his chair, watching movies non-stop. When he finally emerged, he hadn't bathed in weeks, and his hair and nails had grown long. For the next 26 years, Hughes lived like a ghost. He drifted from one hotel to another: Beverly Hills, Las Vegas, the Bahamas, Nicaragua, Vancouver, Mexico. He always took the top-floor penthouse, always surrounded by sworn-to-secrecy Mormon aides. He wore Kleenex boxes on his feet to avoid germs. He lay naked in dark rooms for days. His hair, beard, and nails grew wildly, untouched. And here lay the bitter irony. The man obsessed with cleanliness no longer washed. The man terrified of contamination had become filthy. He stored his urine in bottles. Malnutrition reduced him to a skeleton. Broken needles remained lodged in his arms from constant codeine injections. At one point, this 6'4" man weighed just 115 pounds. Yet from these dark hotel rooms, Hughes still wielded enormous power. In 1966, he arrived in Las Vegas by private train and settled into the Desert Inn. When the owners tried to evict him, he simply bought the entire hotel. Then he bought more: Sands, Castaways, New Frontier, Landmark. He broke the mafia's hold on Las Vegas. He became Nevada's largest employer and the city's most powerful casino owner. From a dark, filthy room, naked and frail, he ran an empire. April 5th, 1976, 1:27 p.m. On a chartered Learjet from Acapulco to Houston, at 33,000 feet over New Mexico, Hughes took his last breath. The official cause was kidney failure. No one recognized the body that arrived at the morgue. 6 feet 4 inches, 90 pounds. hair and beard tangled, nails grown monstrously long, skin covered in bed sores. The FBI had to confirm his identity through fingerprints. X-rays revealed 5 broken syringe needles embedded in his arms. He left no will. More than 600 people claimed to be heirs. In 1983, his $2.5 billion fortune was divided among 22 distant cousins. The man who tried to control everything could no longer control himself. He conquered the skies, but he could never escape the prison of his own mind. Maybe the greatest genius always stands closest to madness. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and share to stay updated.